Have you noticed how life feels different as we grow older? In our youth, we craved noise, adventure, and approval. But as the years pass, our hearts begin to crave something else: peace, clarity, and sincerity. The things that once excited us now exhaust us, and the things we once ignored now become priceless. But here's the truth. Very few are brave enough to admit sometimes the greatest threats to your peace in old age aren't strangers outside your door, but the very people sitting inside your home. If you want to protect your health, your joy, and the sacred years you have left, you must learn this hard but liberating lesson. There are 5 kinds of people you must avoid, no matter who they are, even if they share your last name. As we get older, our most valuable resource is no longer money, status, or possessions. It is time. Time is the one thing we cannot buy back. Once a day is gone, it's gone forever. That's why every conversation, every relationship, and every emotional exchange matters so much more. Think about it. When you were young, you could spend hours with people who drained you, and you still had energy left. You could waste years chasing validation and still feel like you had time to catch up. But in your later years, that luxury disappears. Every interaction now carries weight. Every moment spent with the wrong people is a moment stolen from the joy and peace you deserve. But here lies the challenge. Not everyone around you protects your peace. Some people knowingly or unknowingly steal it. And unless you learn to recognize them, you may spend the most important years of your life exhausted, manipulated, and emotionally suffocated. Sometimes it's subtle. A relative who constantly reminds you of what you owe them. A friend who never calls except to complain. A child who mocks your advice as if your wisdom is outdated. A sibling who insists on controlling every decision in your life. Or a neighbor who can never celebrate your happiness because they're too busy envying it. Each of these people represents a different danger. And while you may feel obligated to keep them close because of blood, history, or tradition, the truth is this peace has to be chosen. And choosing peace often means choosing distance. This doesn't mean you stop loving people. It doesn't mean you become bitter or cold. It means you finally realize that love without boundaries is not love, it's bondage. And remember this, your later years are not a time to constantly explain yourself, to walk on eggshells, or to carry the weight of everyone else's drama. Your later years are a time to enjoy the fruit of the seeds you planted, to breathe deeply, to live fully, and to rest in peace, not just at the end of life, but during it. That's why today we will talk about the 5 types of people you must avoid in old age. Not out of hate, but out of wisdom. Not because you are unkind, but because you are finally ready to honor the sacred gift of peace God has given you. So let's begin with the first group, the guilt trippers. The first group you must avoid as you grow older are the guilt trippers, those who manipulate you not with love, not with truth, but with the heavy chains of guilt. You know them well. They always know the perfect sentence to pierce your heart and make you feel indebted. They never simply ask for help. They demand it, cloaked in emotional blackmail. They'll say things like, "After everything I've done for you, you can't do this one little thing for me." If you really cared, you wouldn't say no. Family always comes first. Blood is thicker than water. At first, these words may sound harmless. They may even sound like love. But if you listen carefully, you'll realize they are not reminders of love. They are reminders of leverage. Here's the painful truth. Guilt trippers don't want your happiness. They want your obedience. And guilt is a dangerous tool, especially in old age. Why? Because as you grow older, you become more reflective. You look back at your life. You remember mistakes. You recall regrets. And guilt trippers know this. They exploit your vulnerability, whispering that you owe them your time, your money, your health, your very peace, simply because of the past. But let me ask you, how much do you really owe someone who constantly poisons your spirit? Is love proven by endless sacrifice or by mutual respect? I've seen elderly parents fall into this trap. Adult children come not with gratitude, but with accusations. You didn't give me enough growing up. Now you have to make it up to me. So instead of enjoying their golden years, these parents spend their final days apologizing for decades-old wounds, bending over backwards just to buy a love that should have been unconditional. But that's not love. It's slavery. And sometimes guilt trippers hide behind family ties. They'll say, "I'm your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister. You can't say no to me." But let me tell you this. Family is not defined by DNA alone. It is defined by respect, alignment, and love. Even Jesus challenged this idea. When he was told his mother and brothers were looking for him, he asked, "Who is my mother, and who are my brothers?" Then he pointed to his disciples and said, "Whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother." Matthew 12:48-50. In that moment, Jesus redefined family not as a biological tie, but as a spiritual one. Not everyone with your last name has earned the right to disturb your peace. So, what do you do with guilt trippers? You set boundaries. You stop apologizing for living your life. You remind yourself daily. Love given under pressure is not love. It's control. Boundaries are not disrespect. Distance is not betrayal. Refusing manipulation is not rejection. It is protection. And here's the beauty. The moment you break free from guilt, you reclaim your joy. You walk lighter. You breathe easier. You stop being a puppet to someone else's script and start living the life you were meant to live. Because the truth is this, your later years should not be spent walking on eggshells, drowning in regret, or constantly explaining yourself. They should be spent in peace-free, joyful, unapologetic peace. So release the guilt trippers. Love them if you must, but from a distance. Pray for them, but don't be chained by them. Because no matter how much they try, guilt has no power over a soul that has chosen freedom. The second group you must avoid in your later years are the energy vampires, those who drain your spirit every single time you encounter them. You know the type. You can feel it in your body the moment they call your name or their number flashes on your phone. Your stomach tightens. Your shoulders grow heavy because you already know after spending even 10 minutes with them, you'll walk away feeling tired, discouraged, and empty. Why? Because energy vampires don't come to give. They come to take. These are the people who thrive on complaints. No matter what you say, they always have a problem. If you tell them the weather is beautiful, they'll remind you of the rain that's coming. If you share your joy, they'll cast shadows of doubt over it. If you dream out loud, they'll list every reason it will never happen. And the truth is, when you are young, you might endure it. You might brush it off. But as you age, your energy becomes sacred. Every ounce matters. You don't have the time or the emotional capacity to constantly refill yourself because someone else keeps draining you dry. Think of your energy as water in a cup. Every day you wake up with a certain measure. Life itself already demands some of it. Your health, your responsibilities, your own battles. Why should you let someone else spill it carelessly with their endless negativity? Energy vampires thrive on drama. They will call you not to check on you, but to gossip. They will visit you not to bring comfort, but to stir conflict. And slowly, they turn your peace into chaos, until their problems feel like your own. But here's the wisdom: not every battle belongs to you, and not every burden must be carried by your back. Even Jesus gave us an example. In Mark 5:40, when people laughed at him for saying that Jairus' daughter was only sleeping, he put them out of the room. He understood something profound. Doubt and negativity contaminate faith. And if Jesus refused to let mockers and complainers stay in his presence, then surely we can do the same. I've seen elderly friends lose their joy not because of sickness, but because of the constant weight of negative people around them. Their laughter faded not because life was cruel, but because toxic voices poisoned their outlook. But let me remind you, you are not obligated to host every complaint, absorb every sigh, or heal every wound that someone refuses to heal for themselves. Ask yourself, do I leave this person feeling lighter or heavier? Do I feel inspired or drained after speaking with them? Does their presence bring me peace, or does it rob me of it? If the answer keeps pointing to heaviness, to exhaustion, to loss, then the truth is clear. You are dealing with an energy vampire. And here's the key: protecting your energy is not selfish. It is survival. You were not created to be a dumping ground for other people's bitterness. You were created to carry light, to spread love, and to walk in joy. So learn to say no. Learn to let calls go unanswered. Learn to walk away without apology. Because you don't need to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Surround yourself with those who lift you, not those who weigh you down. People who add to your joy, not subtract from it. People who remind you of hope, not bury you in despair. Because in your later years, what you need most is not noise, it is peace. Not drama, it is clarity. Not endless complaints, it is gratitude. Guard your energy as you would guard your health. Because in truth, they are deeply connected. And when you protect your energy, you extend not just your peace, but your very life. The third group you must avoid in your later years are the mockers, those who belittle you, laugh at your wisdom, and treat your dignity as a joke. Mockery doesn't always sound loud. Sometimes it is a smirk at the wrong moment, a sarcastic, "Oh sure, you know everything," or an eye roll that silently says, "You're irrelevant." These gestures may look small, but over time they cut deeper than any knife. Mockery is dangerous because it doesn't just attack your words, it attacks your sense of worth. It plants seeds of doubt. It whispers, maybe I am outdated. Maybe my voice no longer matters. Maybe I should just stay silent. And that's exactly what mockers want, to silence you. The tragedy is that mockery often comes from those closest to us. A child who dismisses your advice with a laugh. A sibling who makes your struggles into entertainment. A so-called friend who treats your dreams as punchlines. I've seen elders stop sharing their stories because every attempt at conversation was met with ridicule. They stopped offering wisdom because their words were brushed off with laughter. They stopped laughing freely because they were afraid their joy would be mocked. But hear me clearly, you are not irrelevant. Your voice is not outdated. Your wisdom is not disposable. The Bible warns us about mockers again and again. Proverbs 9:7-8 says, "Whoever corrects a mocker invites insults. Whoever rebukes the wicked incurs abuse. Do not rebuke mockers or they will hate you. Rebuke the wise and they will love you." In other words, mockers are not interested in growth. They do not listen. They only ridicule. Engaging with them is a battle you cannot win. Even Jesus endured mockery. Soldiers clothed him in a robe, placed a crown of thorns on his head, and mocked him as King of the Jews. Crowds spat on him, jeered at him, laughed at his pain. Yet not once did he allow their laughter to define his identity. He knew who he was. He knew his mission, and no amount of mockery could change his truth. That is the strength we must emulate. Think of mockery like rust on iron. Slowly, silently, it eats away at strength until nothing remains but weakness. But if you protect the iron, if you shield it, oil it, care for it, the rust cannot destroy it. In the same way, you must shield your spirit from the corrosive power of mockery. So how do you deal with mockers? You don't argue with them. You don't beg for their respect. You don't shrink your light to escape their shadow. Instead, you rise above. When they laugh at your wisdom, remind yourself wisdom does not need applause to be true. When they mock your age, remind yourself your years are evidence of survival growth and grace. When they ridicule your dreams, remind yourself the size of their laughter only reveals the smallness of their vision. You are not here to entertain mockers. You are here to inspire, to teach, to live fully. And if mockers cannot see your worth, that blindness belongs to them, not to you. So in your later years, protect your voice. Protect your stories. Protect your laughter. Surround yourself with people who honor your wisdom, who lean in when you speak, who respect your journey. Because the truth is, your later years should be filled with celebration, not ridicule. With dignity, not mockery. With respect, not belittlement. Let the mockers laugh if they must. Their laughter is temporary noise. But your life, your journey, your resilience, your faith, that is eternal proof. The fourth group you must avoid as you grow older are the controllers, those who want to dictate your choices, silence your opinions, and reshape your life according to their desires. Controllers rarely appear as villains. Often they cloak their control in the language of care. They'll say, "I only want what's best for you. You should listen to me, I know better." And if you don't follow my advice, you'll regret it. On the surface, these words may sound protective, but beneath the surface, they are not about your well-being. They are about their need for power. Here's the reality. As you age, some people begin to treat you as though your wisdom has expired. Your choices no longer matter, and your independence is negotiable. And controllers thrive in that environment. I've seen elderly parents pressured into selling homes they loved, moving into places they never wanted, or handing over their savings, all in the name of "it's for your own good." But in truth, it was never about what the parent needed. It was about what the controller wanted. And the result? Many elderly people spent their final years in silent resentment, trapped in lives they did not choose, while those around them claimed it was all for the best. But let me be clear, your age does not erase your authority. Your years do not cancel your voice. Your history does not disqualify your freedom. Scripture is clear on this matter. 2 Corinthians 3:17 says, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." If God Himself gives freedom, who are people to take it away? Control is rooted in fear. Controllers fear losing influence. They fear being unneeded. They fear you making decisions that place you outside their grasp. But here's the truth. Their fear is not your responsibility. Real love does not dominate. It empowers. Real care does not dictate, it supports. Real family does not strip freedom. It protects it. So how do you deal with controllers? You draw firm, unshakable boundaries. You learn to say, "I appreciate your concern, but I will make this decision for myself. I respect your opinion, but I know what's best for my life. This is my journey, and I intend to walk it in the way that gives me peace." And here's something important. When you set boundaries, controllers may resist. They may guilt you. They may even grow angry. But remember, people who truly love you will respect your boundaries. Those who don't were never motivated by love in the first place. I often think of Jesus when people tried to control His mission. They wanted Him to act on their timeline, to perform miracles on demand, to be the kind of Savior they imagined. But Jesus refused. He lived by His Father's will, not by human manipulation. If even He resisted control, shouldn't we do the same? In your later years, you deserve freedom more than ever. The freedom to choose where you live, how you spend your time, whom you welcome into your presence. You are not here to live under someone else's script. You are here to walk in your own light. So guard your independence fiercely, because peace without freedom is not peace at all. It is captivity disguised as care. The fifth and final group you must avoid in your later years are the envious, those who cannot stand to see you blessed, peaceful, or happy. Envy is one of the oldest poisons in human history. It is subtle, dangerous, and often disguised. To your face, the envious may smile. They may clap when you succeed. They may even say, "I'm happy for you." But behind closed doors, their hearts burn with jealousy. They don't truly celebrate your wins, they resent them. They don't admire your strength, they secretly hope you stumble. They don't rejoice when you find peace, they silently wish chaos would return to your life. And here's the sobering truth. Envy doesn't disappear with age. In fact, sometimes it grows stronger. I've seen siblings in their 60s still competing with each other over parental approval. I've seen adult children resent their parents for financial security. or for favor shown to another sibling. I've seen old friends secretly hope the other fails simply because they cannot handle the light of someone else's joy. But here's what you must understand. You cannot share your peace with people who secretly despise it. The Bible warns us clearly about envy. Proverbs 14:30 says, "A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones." Envy is not just destructive, it is corrosive. It doesn't only rot the person who feels it, it spreads decay into every relationship they touch. I once knew a family where two brothers spent their entire adulthood locked in envy. One became successful in business, the other could never forgive it. Even in old age, the bitter brother sabotaged family gatherings with comments, jokes, and cold stares. Instead of joy, their golden years were filled with rivalry. Instead of peace, there was poison. This is what envy does. It blinds people to gratitude. It convinces them that someone else's blessing is their loss. It makes them view life as a competition rather than a gift. But here's the good news. You don't have to let envy touch you. When you sense envy around you, respond with wisdom. You don't need to argue with the envious. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to defend your blessings. Instead, share less. Not everyone deserves access to your victories. And protect your joy. Don't allow someone else's bitterness to dim your gratitude. Keep perspective. Their jealousy is not about your fault. It's about their lack. Remember, not everyone deserves front-row access to your life. Some people belong in the balcony. Let them watch from a distance, but don't give them power to touch your light. And here's a liberating truth. The envy others feel toward you is often proof of the favor of God upon your life. People don't envy emptiness. They envy abundance. They don't envy weakness. They envy strength. Their jealousy is often confirmation that you carry something worth protecting. So in your later years, never apologize for your blessings. Never shrink your joy to make others comfortable. Never dim your light so that others won't feel insecure. Instead, shine brighter. Because the right people will celebrate you, not compete with you. The right people will honor you, not envy you. And for those who cannot love them from a distance, pray for their healing. But guard your peace. Because envy may rot their bones, but it does not have to touch yours. So now we've come full circle. You've seen the 5 types of people you must avoid in your later years. 1. The guilt trippers who chain you with obligation. 2. The energy vampires who drain you with negativity. 3. The mockers who belittle your wisdom and dignity. 4. The controllers who try to rob your freedom in the name of care. 5. The envious who cannot rejoice in your blessings and secretly wish for your downfall. Each of them carries one common trait. They disturb your peace. And if there is one truth you must carry with you into your golden years, it is this: peace is priceless. When you were young, you could waste time. You could spend hours explaining yourself, years trying to please others, decades tolerating what drained you. But as you grow older, time becomes too precious. Every moment matters. Every conversation matters. Every relationship matters. And the truth is, the wrong people will always cost you more than you can afford. They will cost you joy. They will cost you health. They will cost you years of peace you can never get back. But here's the liberating good news: you are not powerless. You have the authority to choose. You can choose who you let in and who you keep at a distance. You can choose boundaries over bondage. You can choose freedom over control. You can choose joy over guilt. You can choose peace over drama. The Bible says in Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guarding your heart means protecting your spirit, your energy, your peace. Not everyone deserves access to it. Not everyone has earned a seat at your table. So as you step into this sacred season of your life, I challenge you to make bold choices. Say no without guilt. Walk away without apology. Protect your boundaries without shame. Celebrate your blessings without shrinking. Live your days without fear of disappointing those who never truly celebrated you in the first place. Because the truth is, your later years are not the leftovers of life. They are the crown. And a crown is not meant to be hidden, mocked, or controlled. It is meant to be worn with dignity, confidence, and peace. Yes, honor your family. Yes, respect others. Yes, walk in love. But love without wisdom is weakness, and peace without boundaries is impossible. So avoid the guilt trippers. Step away from the energy vampires. Silence the mockers. Resist the controllers. Guard against the envious. And when you do, you'll discover something priceless. The quiet joy of living your final years not in regret, not in bitterness, not in exhaustion, but in freedom. Freedom to rest without guilt. Freedom to laugh without fear. Freedom to love without manipulation. Freedom to walk in peace, knowing that you've chosen wisely. And that is the greatest gift you can give yourself in old age. Not more things, not more approval, not more drama, but more peace. So today, choose peace. Protect it, guard it, honor it. Because in the end, peace is not just what you deserve, it's what you were created for.